is Chie Satanaka, and you're listening to the Giant Sword Podcast. You better eat more meat.
Hello and welcome to this week's Giant Sword Podcast. I'm your party leader, Nick. Joining me as always is Taylor. Taylor.
What up, Nikolai? How are you?
Good. Busy. Just came back from Arizona. Tired.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Happy belated. I mean, I texted you yesterday, but it was your birthday yesterday.
Yeah. It was busy.
It was good in Arizona?
It was good. It's relaxing.
Nice.
Did nothing really.
You know, sometimes
Played Top Golf.
That's what you need. Oh, nice. The rolly one. Top Golf, the little rolly golf game.
No, Top Golf is it's like, what's it called? A driving range, but you aim for targets.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That was fun. Very sore after that. So out of shape. Ugh. It's great. But yeah, other than that, we were gonna record an episode right before I left, doing the state of play, but you got bogged down with work, so we couldn't do it. So this episode, we are gonna talk about the state of play, even though it's a week older, but we haven't really talked about it.
It's true.
Have you ever already forgot about the state of play?
I mean, there were a couple big games that I think will probably be the focus of this episode, but I remember most of it.
What was the biggest what moment for you?
I think if I didn't see the trademark previously, probably the Valkyrie profile sequel or whatever you want to call it.
You saw the trademark?
Yeah, Gamatsu posted a little article. It said something like, "Oh, Square Enix trademarks Valkyrie Elysium," and I'm like, I feel like they just did a mobile game, so I don't think it's a mobile game. So I saw it, so I wasn't like too surprised when it popped up. But I think the other game surprised me for the wrong reason. The Diofield Chronicles or whatever that game's called.
Yeah, okay, we'll get into it.
Yeah. Yeah, but how about you?
Those are cool surprises. I like seeing Square Enix is throwing all this stuff out. I was gonna say crap, but it wasn't not crap, but all the stuff out. It was like a very Square Enix state of play.
It was, yeah.
And then the weird Capcom Dino Crisis changed game, which I'm pretty sure that game was like, let's make a Dino Crisis, and then they started working on it. And they're like, this is not Dino Crisis. Let's call it something else.
Yeah, I feel bad for any Dino Crisis fans because it starts off showing dinosaurs and even shows a character with like red hair. I'm like, oh, it's the girl from Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is like so wacky. This is like totally not the vibe. And then as it went on, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely not Dino Crisis.
And then it turns out it's a 5v5 PvP game. It's like, okay, so this is just like a Dino Crisis Operation Raccoon City type of game.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, that lost all its luster. Weird game to start off with.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. And those are the big three things for us, right? I feel like I'm missing something in my head. Was there something else announced that was there? It was Diofield, Valkyrie.
I don't think so.
I don't know why I feel like I'm missing something.
Let's see. So we had that. There was some Returnal stuff. I think they had another trailer. I mean, they had some trailers for some upcoming games like Ghostwire Tokyo and then Stranger Paradise. Forspoken got like delayed and had a date. That game is looking really cool. What do you think about Forspoken?
Annoying.
Why is it annoying? Or why do you say that?
One thing the first trailer that was shown, or the last couple trailers, the main character was just so annoying. It was like the most annoying person in the world. It was like someone trying to be a millennial, writing millennial things, and they wouldn't shut up. So I was like, okay, I wonder if they change that in the. I wonder if they're going to change that in the next trailer. So when we watched the next trailer, she didn't speak at all. She said like two things.
That's true.
And I was like, oh,
true.
they know. But yeah, I don't really want to play a game as a annoying millennial. So if that changed, then maybe. Other than that, it still looks kind of rough. Like the combat looks kind of rough. But it's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Because I think the combat looks kind of cool. Like it's very kinetic. Like you're always moving around and like doing something with like crazy spell effects and stuff. I think this, like, I agree. I think the story is probably going to be nothing to write home about, but yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I am just a little worried. Because I know this game's going to get shellacked when it comes out. I just know it's going to have that reputation. It's going to be one half really likes it and one half really hates it. It's going to happen. So I don't think it's going to sell really well. But if this is true, I think like one of the main guys in Square Enix says this is going to be their next big franchise, and they're putting like all their marbles in the same bucket with this game. And I'm like, no, don't say that. Don't say that, because this game is not going to do as well as you think it's going to do.
Why don't say that? Why?
I don't want them to, because if they really did put a lot of resources into this game and it doesn't sell well, that's going to really hurt them. And then we're going to see it roll over to Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2, and it's like, oh no.
I hear what you're saying. Like, yeah, it might be bad for other games, but I mean, this is like a totally separate. So like the team that made Final Fantasy 15 made like their own studio, or like they rejiggered and made their own studio.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, it's called Luminous Productions or something. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think it will create a ripple effect, because I think it's, if anything, they would just shut that studio down or something, or put them on like Final Fantasy 14. I don't know, but who knows?
Okay, so I want to ask you a question about Diofield and Valkyrie Elysium, right? Okay, what were your first thoughts when you first saw these games?
I mean, I think you and I probably had the same thoughts. Like, so as soon as they kicked, like, State of Play does those little like graphics and like, and here's another game from Square Enix. I'm like looking at the art and I'm like, this could be it. This could be Final Fantasy Tactics 2. This could be it. And then it starts playing and it's like very not stylized in that same way. And I'm like, oh, this is not that. But I'm like, what could it be? And then they showed the gameplay where it looks like a RTS almost, and I'm like, man, no, no thanks.
No. Okay, so what I thought when I first saw the gameplay, I was like, oh, this is just going to be a top-down Valkyria Chronicles game.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's what I thought when I first saw it. I don't know. We don't know what it plays like. It just looks. It's definitely not It's definitely not, or it's gonna be like an XCOM game, but it's definitely not turn-based, grid-based tactical game which they did with Triangle Strategy.
Here's my question to Square Enix though. It's like, okay, they have this game, Diofield Chronicles. They just put out Triangle Strategy. They have a mobile game called War of the Visions that plays, I know it's a mobile game, and it plays a lot like Final Fantasy Tactics. It's like, why are you making all these games around tactics but not a tactics sequel? That just, I don't get it. That is what is really confusing to me. Because you have this series, and I think maybe we're just the loudest cheerleaders for that game or something, for that series. But like, to me, it seems like there are so many fans that want a return of that series, and clearly tactics games are in vogue with like Fire Emblem and Triangle Strategy sold 1 million copies. So clearly there's an audience for these games, but it's like, why won't you just take a franchise that is waiting to be revived? Like, you revive Valkyrie Profile? That seems so random, and not do tactics. But that's just my own personal squabble or whatever.
Well, Cornballer said that the only game that he had interested in is the strategy game they showed near the end, and I couldn't care less about the rest of it. So a lot of people are interested. What was another one? I just saw this. Where are you? Nathalo says, I am extremely interested and excited about DioField Chronicles. I feel like if you could take one thing you like or excited about from a State of Play or Nintendo Direct, then it was successful and accomplished its goal. Square Enix has a lot of interesting stuff on the site for DioField. So it very, very much was a surprise for DioField. I was like, oh wow, they're creating a smaller game. That's interesting. And then they did another smaller game with Valkyria Elysium, which I think you would be interested in because it looks like a Platinum game.
Yeah, I'm watching the trailer again right now, and this looks great. I mean, it's obviously nothing like the first two Valkyrie Profile games, because Valkyrie Profile, it's like a side view and you have to kind of do the attacks in real time, and then I could be misremembering this, but like I remember Valkyrie Profile 2 playing kind of more like Grandia, and by that I mean it was turn-based but 3D, and it was all about positioning as opposed to just being like side view turn-based. So
yeah, I booted it up once and I don't really remember much, but I remember the battle system being not the same square, triangle, circle, X battle system that they had. It was different. I haven't really played it, but it's in my game collection. So, this one looks way different. The thing is, Mega Otaku Gamer says, I cried while watching the Valkyrie Elysium trailer. It surprised me, just like the last State of Play where they announced the new Star Ocean game. I'm like, well, interesting, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad that people are excited. I mean, it's like you said, it's like if you can find one good thing in a State of Play, then that's a success.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean this to sound mean, but previously Tri-Ace was the developer of the Valkyrie Profile games.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're working on Star Ocean, so they can't make this. And I kind of am glad. Like, I don't really like Tri-Ace. I don't think they're like a very good team. They're like a mid-tier team. Like, it feels like they always have the potential to be so much better, and they just never are. So I have no idea who's working on this game, but it might be internal or some other side team or something. But Valkyrie Elysium looks awesome. Like, it kind of, like you said, it definitely reminds me of Nier Automata, and it kind of reminds me of Trials of Mana, not in the look or anything, but like a more straightforward linear action RPG. It seems like it's probably going to be pretty simple too, and I think we need some of those kinds of games every once in a while. Not everything needs to be a giant open world epic. Sometimes it's just like, let's keep it linear, let's keep it like 20-25 hours. But yeah, it looks fun. That was probably the thing I'm looking forward to most from the State of Play.
Did the thought of it say of between any of these trailers, did the thought come into your mind that, like, man, this looks really bad? It looks cheap.
It looks yeah. I mean, that's kind of also what I mean too when I say Trials of Mana, because Trials of Mana was obviously a budget game in comparison to something like a Final Fantasy VII remake or even like a Forspoken. Like, but yeah, and it doesn't look like AAA, but it's got a style to it, and I'm kind of okay with it. In the DioField Chronicles, I like the character portrait art. That looks awesome. But yeah, the in-game graphics it's like a really weird kind of mix of like, they're kind of going for like that clay look. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, the in-game doesn't look super great on that game. But
yeah. So that thought popped in my head a couple times, and I'm like, no, I can't think like that. Because I remember I said this before. It's like, I want games coming out that aren't like Final Fantasy VII remake quality and still that they still work on games that are like lower budget, have an art style, don't look amazing, but they're great games, you know. So I'm glad they are still making games at this quality. They're not blockbuster graphics like Forspoken and Final Fantasy VII remake and Final Fantasy 16, so they're not going to take 5-7 years to make. So I'm glad they're working on it. And they obviously showed early footage, and the last parts of development is all focused on polishing up the looks. So I'm not worried about the looks looking that bad.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Like, I think people would be really surprised at how much progress can be made in like even like a month. Because I played the demo for Monarch on PS4, and visually it looked really rough. I was like, oh man. But then in the final game, and I think the demo only came out maybe not even a month before the final version, it looked way better. So like, and these games are supposedly coming out this year. They both said 2022. I don't know if I believe that, but because like at this point, like why not just put a date on it?
Mm-hmm.
Or like almost in April, you know? But yeah, no, I'm with you. Like I'm not like super concerned about the looks, especially because I think both of them are going to be on PS5. Like there's going to be enough power to make those games look good.
Josiah Otaku says, I'm excited for the new Valkyrie game. It just proves that in this day and age, nothing is off the table. Come forth, Wild Arms and Suikoden.
I love that sentiment, and I think that's why I don't know about if you're as diehard as I am about it, but I think that's why I always have hope for Final Fantasy Tactics, because it's like, man, if we can get Chrono Cross remastered plus bringing in like the Radical Dreamers thing that we never got, and we got a Valkyrie profile sequel, like, man, anything is possible. So no, I totally agree with that sentiment, and I think it's a good one, because it's like you can never lose hope. That one old school game that you think may never get a sequel or get a revival, you just hold out hope. You never know.
Nova Chaser says, it seems weak, talking about the state of play, it seems weak compared to the Nintendo Direct. I was only really excited for the TMNT, which I'm sure you were excited for the TMNT thing.
Me?
Yeah, you. 'Cause you're a big...
Yeah. I mean, they have all the games. Like a lot of them are kind of like just ports of the same game, but like Turtles in Time in HD will be cool, and even some of those old NES games. Not the NES game, the one that's really hard.
Didn't you laugh when you? I laughed when I saw that game was the only game that wasn't on it.
Oh, is it not on there?
It's no, the original the NES game, the first one, is not on there.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that. Okay. Because I know like they have the Game Boy games, they have
all the other old stuff, but not that one, it seems.
Wow. Okay. They even have like Tournament Fighters, like a fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
But oh man, that's almost a shame. Like I think it would be fun to like. I don't like that game, but it would be kind of fun just to have it, just for the sake of, what's the word, like preservation standpoint, like to be able to.
Yeah, it's all because of James. It's all because of the Angry Video Game Nerd.
That's right.
He's like, no one likes this game, so we're not putting it on the collection.
That's right.
Noah Chaser also says the Valkyrie profile successor looks weird, like it's still in development. Was kind of hoping Sony would re-release the first game in anticipation. In contrast, the RTS RPG looks really nice, but I'm not a fan of the real-time combat. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that they need to put a demo up for that game, and that might be a death sentence for it, because then people might play it and go, "Oh, this is not good."
Yeah,
but I just gotta feel how that plays, because that combat. I've never played a real-time tactical JRPG like that. I know you were very much into like Warcraft and stuff back in the day, but
it's not going to be at that level.
No. You're not making troops and stuff.
I get the feeling that it's either like Valkyria Chronicles, which means that once you select select a unit, you can move around, or select multiple units, you can move them around a certain amount. But during that time, the other enemies are also moving around, and then you go into a menu and see what actions you could do. That's what I'm thinking it's like.
Yeah, well, I mean, even Valkyria Chronicles, that was like turn-based in a way. Like, yeah, you could like freely move your guy and aim, but like everybody took their turn. It wasn't like everybody moved at the same time. So
yeah, we'll see. But he also says no FF Tactics remakes and no FF9 remakes, sadly. But I'll keep dreaming. So those two were the ones that are in the leak, and so those are pretty much, I think, 80% confirmed that they're gonna happen. We just don't know when.
Yeah, I still have faith because like everything in that leak has come true so far. Or like a lot of stuff has. So I'm confident if it's on there, it's gonna happen.
Other than that, what else did you think? Did you think the state of play was actually good? Or like,
I mean, I kind of liked that it was Japanese focused because a lot of times it's like they'll have one, first party game and then like a bunch of crap we don't care about, and in like you almost always, I would say like the majority of the time, I'm like that was a waste of my time. But for us, excuse me, for us JRPG weebs, yeah, it was cool. No, I mean, even that like Dino Crisis, whatever, what the fuck the heck was that game called?
Primo Exosuit.
Exoprimal. Oh god, yeah. Yeah, even that game looks kind of silly. Like, I don't know, I might actually give it a try. Yeah.
Spoke said that I thought it was great. I'm seeing a lot of hate for it online. Not sure what people expected.
That's the thing. I think I think Nintendo has kind of ruined this for better or worse, but like I think people always expect Nintendo Direct level stuff from these state of plays, and maybe rightfully so. But Nintendo Direct, one, they usually have more games, and I think they know how to do these types of presentations. They always know open with a banger, close with a banger. And state of plays don't always do that, and I would say that even this one didn't really do that. I think at this point, I just know that state of plays are just not going to be like Nintendo Directs. They're just going to be, maybe there's one game I'm going to care about, but for the most part, they're just going to be, nothing worth getting excited about. But this is one of the better ones in a long time for my taste.
Yeah, it's good for us because it was Japanese focused, and that's why a lot of people didn't like it, because like what's with all these weeb games?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we got some cool ones. We got a freaking Gundam shooter.
That looks so weird.
It's a Gundam hero shooter, man. That's what it is.
I know, it's bizarre. But hey, I mean, that is so strange to me. But hey, I mean, somebody somewhere must have thought it was a good idea, but we'll see.
You're never going to have the big bangers of Nintendo because this is Nintendo bringing them out, right? So yeah. Nintendo has all this ammunition behind it. But we did get a big surprise. Two big surprises at the beginning, at the end. The big surprise, like, what the hell is this? And the two big surprises, like, whoa, this is actually interesting. Well, can't wait to see more kind of stuff.
I think what was really strange about the Exoprimal thing is there's like so many Capcom games that are like rumored to be being worked on, and it's like, who's making this game? Because it's like Resident Evil 4 remake, supposedly there's a Dragon's Dogma 2, probably another Monster Hunter game. Like, either Capcom is way bigger than I realize, or those other games aren't being worked on. So Street Fighter 6, like,
well, yeah, we know Street Fighter 6 is not going to be shown until summer, so we have a long time until that. Capcom is doing really well now. So back in the day, Capcom was really struggling.
Yeah.
Before Resident Evil 2, like their upflow, their revival, it was when Resident Evil 2 remake was released and Monster Hunter World was released, and then they did Devil May Cry 5, and it's like bam, just banger at the banger at the bangers, boom, boom, boom. And they just kept releasing all this good stuff, and now they're like, "Oh, we're not struggling for money anymore. We're not in the gutter, so we could do some experimental stuff." So that's what this game. That's what that game is. Primal is. It's very experimental, but they still have the Street Fighter 6 to go on. They have the Monster Hunter downloadable, the big DLC that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And they got the Resident Evil 8 DLC coming out, so they got a lot. They got and the Resident Evil 5 or 4 remake.
Which what's really funny is it's funny that you mentioned the Resident Evil 8 DLC. There was supposed to be a pack-in multiplayer mode, and that's still not out.
I think they released it, right? It was something else. It was like Resident Evil Heroes or something like that, right? Was that the packed-in? Was that the pack-in for Resident Evil 3 remake?
I think it might have been for 3, yeah, because I don't remember what it was called, but there was like this ultra like saturated like multiplayer co-op thing. I'm wondering if they're just like they scrapped it and are starting from square one or something, because everybody thought it looked stupid. So but I think they keep trying to do these like live service things, and I'm wondering if this Exo Primal is like, all right, it's 5-player co-op, like maybe this is our opportunity to try something. So
not 5-player co-op, dude. It's 5-player 5v5.
Are you sure? Because I was watching the trailer and it looks like Left 4 Dead with dinosaurs is what it looks like to me. Like everybody's got a different power and stuff.
Yeah. So what it is one team of 5 versus one team of 5. And they are doing missions in this area with the dinosaurs, and the first team to do all the missions and stuff wins.
Okay, so you're not like literally shooting them or whatever.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure you can to mess them up, but it's really weird. Not what anyone expected. People thought it was going to be a co-op, Earth Defense Force kind of game, but it's not.
Okay, that makes it a little bit more interesting.
Interesting, yes. But is it going to do good? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yep. Surreal Killer says, I'm hearing some people responsible for Monarch are involved with Geofield, which is a flag. Doesn't look as good as Triangle Strategy. Elysium looks cool, but it needs more numbers and HP bars.
That is true. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, it's the same studio.
Is it actually?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you reviewed it, so is that a red flag?
Yeah, I guess so. So let's see. Game published. Oh, they're a publisher. Monarch. I'm trying to see the developer. So is Landcars? That can't be them. Yeah, because I read that it's the same. It's the same
same
teams. Yeah. This can't be it because their team is so it's like they made Zanky 0. Yeah, no, it's the same game. I'm kind of looking up their Wikipedia or whatever you want to call it, but yeah, they did Monarch, Zanky 0, which is kind of like one of those nonary game looking type games, but then it's also like a dungeon crawler. What else did they do? They did Lost Dimension, which I think a lot of people played or know about, which I guess Monarch plays very similarly. So that gives me a little hesitation, but though all those games were with lower tier publishers, for lack of a better word. So I'm wondering if like maybe Square has a producer that they're working with that can better guide them on stuff like this. But yeah, it's it'll be interesting.
Can't wait to see what more news is coming out later on this year.
Yeah,
I mean, isn't there like an event coming up really soon actually?
For
just like an event coming out. I think that New Game Plus or whatever it's called. That Japanese game. That's happening really soon.
Yeah, when is that? New Game Plus Expo. Yeah, like NIS America and all those guys usually kind of join together for that. Yeah, March 31st.
Yeah,
so
very soon.
Yeah, so let's see. So we've got Axis Games, Idea Factory, Any Creates, Natsume, NIS America, and then nobody's heard of these other studios.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a bunch of smaller games, but
might be something cool. You never know.
Indeed. So let's move on to some questions. Well, first before questions, let's get your thumbs for the state of play. What are your thumbs?
Something like this in the middle. Halfway up.
Both of them are in the middle. Not one thumb up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that or one thumbs up, one thumbs down. Yeah, because I mean, there were some good ones, but then the rest are like we're seeing the same games again and again and again, like Ghostwire Tokyo and Returnal and stuff. I'm like, I don't care.
Returnal was like one of the highlights for me. I was like, oh, this is interesting, and it was free. So I only liked the Returnal and the last two. That was the only thing that really excited me. But now I'm kind of wary of DioField. So let's go to the questions. The first question is from Spaghetti. Do you think the prediction that PlayStation will not be around in 10 years due to the lack of game streaming? It's true. I guess that's what he meant.
Yeah, no way. I mean, I saw this and it was Michael Pachter who predicted it. So I'm like, I know it's kind of a meme at this point, but like literally anytime I hear
Michael Pachter,
yeah, I just believe the opposite of whatever he says. So, like they're absolutely killing it right now. Like all their games, all their first party games are doing really well. Their console, they can't keep up with demand for the console. They have VR coming out next year probably,
and technically they already do have game streaming. It's the PlayStation Now.
Yeah, yep, that's true.
But that's going away, and they have the new thing that they haven't announced yet coming to replace it. So they probably will have game streaming. So do I think the prediction that PlayStation will be around in 10 years? Yes, it will definitely be around in 10 years.
Yeah,
there's like no way it's not.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think like conventional wisdom almost never applies when it comes to the gaming industry because people are like, oh, mobile games are just going to dominate and take over, and it's like,
oh my god,
guys like you and me are never going to be exclusively phone players, never.
Do you remember that? No, that era was awful. Everyone was like, we're all going mobile. We're all going to do mobile stuff. It's like, no, we're not. Trust me, we're not. It's not going to happen.
It was not good. It was not good. I'm glad that the pendulum has kind of swung back to the middle and we're all back to reality, you know? Mm-hmm. But I just think there will always be an audience for like the core gaming sector that, you know, be it Call of Duty or Madden or JRPGs or fighting games or horror or whatever. I think there's always going to be enough for a company to support that ecosystem. And I mean, like, look at Elden Ring. Like, that game is super hardcore. Sold 12 million copies. That's like, you know, if you did the just pure numbers, that's like $700 million. Like, are you kidding? So, like, to suggest that PlayStation's not going to be around in 10 years, like, who knows what's going to happen in 10 years? I mean, also talk about game streaming. Look at Stadia, right? Like, they tried it and they have basically given up. Like, I just don't think the tech's there. Like, there's so many parts in the country where like internet just is not good enough to do that. Mm-hmm. So unless internet infrastructure drastically changes like soon, I seriously doubt that game streaming is going to be a thing.
Do you think, okay, have you ever used Xbox Game Pass?
I haven't, but I've heard people that have it love it.
I never have it. So I don't know if it's actually streaming the game or you're able to download it and play it for a certain amount of time. I don't remember.
No, you can. You download it, yeah.
Okay. So
that's what's kind of cool about it.
I think, in my humble opinion, that Game Pass is gonna get destroyed. It's really popular right now, but I think the developers are gonna be like, stop it, no more. We don't like doing this anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Because they're not getting their monies from physical copies anymore. Everyone's just doing Stream Pass.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what the deals are like, but I mean, Xbox gives them like, here's a big fat stack of cash, thanks. Like that's from what I understand how those deals work.
So
But
would you
also,
want a static big fat stack of cash, or do you want to constantly have a flow of cash?
I mean, that's the big question, right? I guess it depends on how confident you think your game is, or if it's a multiplayer game and you want a big audience. Like that's the only time I would do that is if I had a multiplayer game and I wanted a big built-in audience. Because I've heard that like there was a game that came out a couple of years ago that Square Enix published, and it was like one of those live service games. The name escapes me, but it was launched on Game Pass, and apparently it did really well because it was on Game Pass and it had that built-in audience. But like, I'm trying to think of something like let's just, I don't know, Valkyrie Elysium. Like I don't know. Like, will people care? I just don't know.
Don't know. The only time one of the biggest examples is Rocket League.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was huge for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Here's a hot take. I go on a little tangent. Do you think handhelds will make a return?
I mean, they kind of are.
Yeah. So
I mean, we got
as I say,
Switch.
the Switch is doing really well, and now the Steam Deck is starting to release, and we don't know how that's going to fare out. So if those two become really popular, do you think the big companies will make handhelds themselves?
Like Microsoft and Sony.
Yeah. Or even Nintendo again. Nintendo's separating the Switch, and the next console, making a dedicated.
Nah, I don't think Nintendo's going to go back and make it separate. I mean, when they have the tech to do both, I don't think they're going to do that. The Switch is way too successful, and I'm sure it's easier for them too because they don't have to be like, crap. All right, do we make this a 3DS game or a Wii U game? I mean, I'm talking like whatever 7 years ago when that was the choice they had to make.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think that they consider it a handheld, and they do. I mean, they make handheld only versions of the Switch, so I think they can have their cake and eat it too, as it were.
Yeah.
Sony, I feel like if they were gonna do it, they would have done it by now, because like the Vita was such a disaster.
It sucks because I think a Vita was too high tech for its time. It was too ahead of its time. There you go. If it came out a little later when things started changing, I think it would have done a lot better. Because it was still, if the Vita was still in the PlayStation 3 mindset of Sony. So if they came out during the PS4 mindset of Sony, it would have done. I think it would have been a way different story.
Yeah, and I think part of it too was those memory cards were so stupid expensive, and I know they were trying to combat piracy because I guess that's what killed the PSP. But man, those memory cards were like more expensive than the games. It was crazy.
That's just Sony. Sony always does that. Parity memory cards.
Which is stupid because like with Nintendo, you can buy third party, memory cards for the Switch.
Cards,
yeah, it doesn't matter. So I don't know why Sony. To me, that's what I think killed it more than anything is like that weird proprietary memory cards that were like insanely expensive. But
I got SD cards on my Vita. You can get adapters for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I remember back in the days of the LSG podcast, I remember saying that Sony needs to do a Switch, their own Switch, and it'll be super popular. I still believe that. I still believe that they should do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would buy it. I just don't. I think in this Jim Ryan era, he's way more of a businessman than like a gamer, like, Shuhei Yoshida and Sean Layden and those guys.
Yeah, I miss those
I
days.
just don't, I know, me too. They were, all the conferences were so fun. There was so much personality. I just can't see Jim Ryan getting behind a freaking handheld. There's no way.
Jim Ryan is just like, what's making money? Third person action adventure games. All right, all our exclusives of that now.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Oh man, I miss. That's one thing I miss about the PS3 age, is that there's so many different type of games.
Yeah, I mean, the only bummer part about the PS3 era is they would create a lot of those games, but they were almost their own worst enemies because they would put them out and then they wouldn't market them and they would just bomb. Like Puppeteer. I love Puppeteer.
Yeah.
The game was awesome, but like I don't remember any hype behind that, and I think that game just totally bombed when it came out. But it was great. It was an awesome game. And same with something like Gravity Rush. I know that was a Vita game, but like, yeah, they just had a lot of weird ideas going on.
That should be a video you do, Taylor. Or video idea is games that time forgot. And you do one like the games that should have really exploded but didn't because of dumb reasons.
I'm still like the one game out of all those that really bums me out, and this isn't a PS3 game, but Gravity Rush 2, like I feel like, you know, it was developed by Japan Studio. I just feel like they had no idea what made the first game good. Like I remember there's like a game, or there's a quest in Gravity Rush 2 where you're like playing fetch with a dog, and it's like, this game is all about the superpowers and flying around and the gravity stuff. Like, why aren't there like obstacle courses or like making better use of these powers? Because that's what's fun. But man, yeah, that was really disappointing because it looked amazing. This like the soundtrack was awesome, but I feel like they just didn't know what they had with Gravity Rush.
Gravity Rush was a trip.
Yeah.
All right. Nova Chaser asks, Konami is killing it with these collections. Most recently, Castlevania and now TMNT. Are there any other collections you would want to see them do?
Konami. I don't know. I mean, I was never into Metal Gear Solid, so to me I don't really care about that. They did put out a lot of whatchamacallit, Castlevania collections, so I think they have that covered. Silent Hill, they like totally bombed those collections. So I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't personally care about whatever. I mean, whatever they've already put out that I would care about. But I know you're more into their catalog. Like, how excited would you be for?
Okay, so this is what I would want them to do. Release a newer Metal Gear Solid collection that includes Metal Gear Solid 4, maybe 5, but definitely Metal Gear Solid 4, and include Metal Gear Solid 1 in a way. Maybe a port of the GameCube version. I don't know what they'll do, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 in one collection. And make a real Silent Hill collection. A real one. You're able to do it. You just have to find a competent, make not Blue Sky. What's it? Blue Point?
Blue Point, yeah.
Hire them, even though I think they're owned by Microsoft now.
Oh, Sony.
Owned by Sony now. They're owned by Sony now, but have them. They'll reverse engineer all the games you need. Have Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, even 4. That's all you need. The first 4. And maybe some
is
extras.
4 Downpour or The Room?
The Room. 4 is like a third. It's like a side game that they added 4 to, but it's still it's still a fun game. It's just different than the original 3. But yeah, that's what I would do. Because they released all their stuff. That's all they're popular for, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
That require a collection, I should say.
I mean, to me, my thought now is like, let's start making some new ones. You know, like a new Castlevania, a new Silent Hill.
Konami is not going to do that. Konami is focused on their their bodybuilding, athletic stuff, and their Pochiko machines.
I know, that's what's so sad. I know a lot of people are saying like Sony doesn't necessarily have to buy Konami, but if they bought their IP, like man, can you imagine some of like their internal studios if they had access to like Silent Hill or Castlevania. Castlevania is really the one. Like, can you? I know they don't own this team, but can you imagine like Castlevania by From Software? That would be amazing. Oh my god.
I was like, I could imagine a Castlevania where it's a third person action adventure game where you have to raise Dracula or Alucard to be a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm joking. I don't want Dad of Boy Castlevania edition.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. I'm like, yeah, an Alucard game that would be cool. Oh. No, but I mean, like,
if anything, I would want someone to stick with their roots and make either an original Castle Metroidvania game again with sick ass 2D art. Not make it 3D. We're having a big deluge of 3D action adventure games. 3D, like crazy combo games, Let's go back to the classics. Let's do Castlevania as don't even have to spend that much on it. Just make it look good.
Yeah, I mean, look at Metroid Dread. That was it's 2.5D or whatever you want to call it, but I mean,
yeah, you could do it
people
that way.
love that.
Mm-hmm. Hookah LeConk asks, do you guys agree that true endings shouldn't exist in JRPGs? I don't like them because they usually force you to do another playthrough, and most people don't have the time to replay a long JRPG just to get the true ending, so I usually just resort to YouTubing the true ending if I don't get it on my first playthrough.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I hate that crap. I mean, sometimes I'll get the true ending on accident, but I don't like having to do that either. It's kind of annoying.
I enjoy true endings because it makes it seem like you. I know I like true endings because it makes you. Oh, okay, let me say this. I like true endings that you could do on the first playthrough. Something that you could do, it tells you that hey, you should do these things because something special is gonna happen. Not in such a in your face way, but giving you a hint that you should do this, and maybe something special will happen, which is what they do in Cold Steel 4, and which you could do in Persona 4 as well. A lot of 4s, but Persona 4 you kind of have to. It's kind of hard to get the true ending if you don't know if you don't want to look for it. Because to get the true ending in Persona 4, you have to, at the end, when you're saying goodbye to everyone, I think it's when you're saying goodbye to everyone. Yes, when you're saying goodbye to everyone because it's your final day there. Oh, spoilers, but it's a Persona game. You have to go to Junes to send a meeting, to do another meeting, right? And then you have to say, something doesn't seem right. You have to click that option, and then an entire dialogue thing, scene happens, and then you have to figure out, you have to select the right word or what's it called, responses to get the true ending. But it's a cool way to do it. But you could completely miss it. Like, there's no true ending. Wait, is there now? I don't know because I did the royal stuff. Can you? I wonder if you can miss the royal stuff in Royal, because all the royal stuff is usually it's after the main game. That's when it starts.
Yeah.
When it really starts, to say. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Like the true ending. Don't search it. You're gonna get spoiled.
I know. I'm not looking it up.
The true ending in Ys 8. You have to get, I think, a certain amount of people rank 3 stars, rank 3,
and
then you get the true ending because you're connected with everyone. Which you should be doing anyway, unless you're Taylor, who's like, I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah, he wants to talk to people. I'll just skip all that.
Yeah,
We'll just jump over everything.
I'm gonna jump over this tree by quickly switching out everyone.
That's right.
I don't mind. I guess my real answer is I don't mind true endings if they're done in a really in a way that you could access them easier, instead of just like, oh, the only way to do this is you have to get this item, the secret item in chapter 2, and then the secret item in chapter 3, and then in chapter 8 you have to put it in the secret dungeon with the secret room in that secret dungeon, and you got to put it on these pedestals in the right way, which doesn't tell you if it's the right way or not. And then if you did it all that correctly, then you'll get the special scene at the end of the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Doing all that garbage is not cool.
Yeah. Or you could do it the Tokyo Xanadu way, where it's you beat the game, and then it's like, hey, you unlocked the epilogue. Go play that. And then the epilogue kind of retcons the ending, and then you get a new ending. And then it goes, oh, play the after story. And the after story then continues after the epilogue and adds another ending. And that's the true ending. So, and you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is beat it. You don't have to unlock anything. You don't have to select anything. I think that is a way to do it. Just adds more game. Adds more gameplay.
No, I like what the way Tokyo Xanadu did it. Like, to me, it's like cut the in between chapter little gameplay segments. I hated those. Those just felt like a waste of time to me. But all the post game stuff was pretty cool.
Didn't those segments feel like the Donna segments?
Yeah,
very similar, right?
A little bit, and the only reason I like the Donna sections more is because it felt more cohesive and it felt like more like part of the game. With
not the Donna story moments. I'm talking about where you get the Donna forms, those sections where it feels completely out of nowhere.
I don't remember,
because the Donna forms are the add-ons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember how those.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because you skipped them all so many times, right?
Yeah, I mean, I beat the game legit. I don't remember how that one specifically, or how those come about.
And then the Tokyo Xanadu ones are the White Shroud stuff, right?
It's not always White Shroud, but yeah, I mean, there's more than not. Sometimes it's just like, hey, buddy, you want to go on a dungeon real quick? Okay, and then it's over. It's like, okay, that was a waste of my time.
You just play as other characters, yeah.
Because what it feels like is something interesting is happening with the story. It's like, no, you got to stop for like 30 minutes. It's like, no, I want to get back to the story. Don't make me stop and do something I don't want to do. Like, that's what was annoying about it to me. Is it felt like it was making me do something I didn't want to do.
Yeah, I forgot though. I thought you could skip them.
I don't think so.
I don't remember. I'll have to load it up to see. Oh, well, that was the last question. So we'll end the episode here. State of Play was interesting. I had some fun. It wasn't a complete wash like they usually are. Can't wait for the next news. That's gonna be fun. It's always fun to get new gaming news. I missed the age of seeing people react. Those are always fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, people still do them, but it's not as.
There hasn't been any really big announcements, except the Street Fighter 5, the Street Fighter 6 thing was pretty nice. That was fun to see people react to that. But yeah, we'll be back next time. Taylor, are you working on anything special? Where can people follow you, find you?
Yeah, probably by the time this episode goes out, I'll have my review out for Rune Factory 5, so go check that out. Basically, it's just been review after review after review. So, yeah, if you want to hear reviews on all the latest JRPGs, go check out my channel, The Gaming Shelf.
Sweet. And with that, we'll be leaving. See ya.
All right, bye.